Hey, today on What a Story, we have Brick David. So, Brick, um, tell us about yourself. You're a comic, right?
That's right. Yeah, I started comedy November 2023, so it's been just over a year and a bit now.
Cool. And what did you do before comedy, or what do you do now, kind of
Uh,
thing?
Before comedy, I dreamed about doing comedy, and I kept giving myself excuses as to not do it. Like I planned to do it, I think 2020 or just before, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, well, I guess I'll wait until things open up a bit, and then it was something that I always just had on the back burner. And then eventually I got lucky. I ended up working with a guy who was a comedian who runs an open mic. And he just kind of messaged in the work group chat. And he's like, hey, I'm running this open mic at Groove Bar. If anybody wants to come on down and try comedy, let me know and I'll put you on the list. And if you do really, really well, I'm running a show at Comedy Bar the following week. And, if there's a spot available, I'll put you on. So I went down, I had my 5 minutes memorized. I went and it went well enough. I had one guy who really liked the set. He was probably very drunk because it wasn't the funniest set in the world. And
Hmm.
I was just so happy that like one person was loving it. I was like, all right, I'm here forever now because of this one dude. And
Yeah.
it's been going pretty well. It's been going pretty.
Um, all right. So, do you want to get into your story now?
Sure, yeah.
All right. So, what is your story?
So my story is a bank robbery story. I was not the robber, unfortunately. I was just working at the bank. So basically, years ago, I was working at Scotiabank up in Meadowvale, aka Ghetto Jail, as I was raised to believe. And I was a teller, and I was a teller at the far end. I've got like the little desk for people with like wheelchairs or old ladies or whatnot. And it's just a regular day. I'm dealing with this young guy. He's trying to deposit a check and these two dudes walk in. Like picture a bank robber. That's pretty
Yeah.
much what they look like. They had like the ski mask, they had like a burlap sack. It didn't have a dollar sign on it, which I thought was kind of a miss, but they came in and the first guy comes in, he's waving his pistol in the air, and he's like, everybody get on the ground and hands on your head, on your knees, don't look at me. The other guy, well, he swore, but I'm not gonna do that now because I don't know what children are gonna be listening to this. I don't want kids to swear if they're gonna rob banks. Uh, Second guy, he jumps over the counter, and behind the counter, spoiler alert for people who don't know banks, like we've all got our little desks, but we've all got like a little money dispensing machines. And what we're supposed to do when we're getting robbed is like hit this button so the money machine will just spit out like $1,000 and then it'll just lock and they can't get any more money. And on top of it, on top of every machine, there's a little box that has a wad of 20s. And in that wad of 20s is a GPS tracker. Because they don't do like the paint bags or nothing anymore. Um, but because he just jumped over, he's just ripping over drawers. We didn't get to do the machine thing. So I saw him grab at least like one of the wads of 20s. Because why would they know what that is? He's like, oh, sick, a wad of 20s at the top of every machine. That's convenient for me. So he's opening the drawers of everybody. And then, he gets to me, I'm at the end. And I'm scared, like in everybody's scenario, everybody thinks they're a hero. Like, oh, I'd be the one to stop the gunman. When I saw that gun, I was like, nope. I just went down on my knees, hand on my hands. I was like, well, this is happening. And I always lock my desk drawer, just a fun little habit I have. So this guy's like struggling to open my desk drawer, and then he's getting pissed off, and he kicks my chair into me, and it bumps into me, and then I just give out like an inconvenienced ow, and he rips open the drawer. Money starts spilling everywhere, and I see because I'm just looking down on the ground, terrified, and there's money all around me, and I remember like not being sure what to do because part of me is like, do I help him pick up the money? Does that make me an accomplishment? Is he going to slide me a 20 if I do? Should I do anything? So I look up and then he's got the gun right in my face and my heart just sinks. And then I look up from the gun and then I'm looking directly in his eyes. I can see, part of his face under the ski mask. White guy, blonde hair, I could see from the eyebrows, blue eyes. Like I'm sure he was very pretty. And at that point, I was like, well, I'm dead now. I've seen part of his face. The gun is already almost touching my nose. I've inconvenienced him with my locked desk. This is it for me. This is awful. Um, and then he just kind of stands there for a second because he's panicked. And then he just starts haphazardly just picking up loose coins and bills and stuff. And we don't keep a lot of money in the desks. That's what the machines are for. So all he really got from all of us was like a bunch of crumpled bills that couldn't go in the machine, some American money. Like we're not even allowed to have $1,000 on our desk. So like at most, he probably walked out. The two of them maybe walked out with like 2 grand. So he's taking the money, and then he jumps back over, and him and his partner they run out the door, and then somebody runs out, and they lock the door, and somebody's trying to like film them, and everybody's scared, and everybody's panicked, and we call the cops, and I'm freaked out because this has never happened before, and while everybody's kind of like freaking out, some people are crying. The customer that I was dealing with, the young guy, he kind of comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't know if this is the right time, but like, did my check get deposited or?" And like, part of me is like, that's kind of funny, but at the same time, I'm like shaking, and everybody's like consoling each other, and I got to go back to my computer and be like, "So did you want this in the checkings or savings? Uh, did you want to make a withdrawal or do anything else?" Just like holding back tears. And then he's like, "Oh, okay, just put it in the checking account. That's fine, man." I'm like, "Okay, well, if you get an email with a survey about your service today, we hope you had a good day." And then the cops come and they're interviewing everybody. We got to give police reports. And I remember overhearing some people be like, "Yeah, it was just 2 black guys who came in." And now I'm freaking out even more. I'm like, "That's not what it was. There was 2 white dudes wearing black ski masks. This doesn't look good for anybody." And I was just so scared and I was so freaked out. And I had to give my report. And then I had to call my other job because I was working at EB Games at the time and be like, "Hey guys, I can't come in." And at there, it was a bunch of just like bros, just a bunch of ball busters and whatnot. They're like, "Oh, why aren't you coming in today? Oh, yeah, you're gonna be late." I was like, "Well, the bank got robbed. I gotta talk to the cops for a while. I think I'm gonna go home and cry to my mom or something after this." And I remember trying to think of it like as a silver lining, like, okay, this was a scary experience, but now you'll be brave forever, right? You can't be scared to talk to girls when you thought you were gonna die, right? Wrong. That didn't help me even a little bit. I'm still just the same person. I just have this one memory that I forget about. And then the only other thing that happened after that was like, I still have to go back to work the next day. And then for like a week or so, I keep looking at that front door, waiting for people to come in again, and I'm just terrified. And then eventually you get over it, and then you just get bored at work. So it got to the point where it's like, I kind of hope somebody just walks in with a gun again, because that way we can just close early. Because I don't want to be here. And God, my supervisor, I remember telling her that I was freaked out. And she's like, "Oh, was that your first bank robbery?" I'm like, "Can we not say first? Like it is gonna happen again." I'm a young man here. I don't want any of this. So that's what happened to me. So for anybody listening who thinks, by the way, and the guys did get caught within like 24 hours. They had robbed another bank like 2 days before, and they had like the GPS bill, so the cops found them pretty quickly. And like I said, they only got at most like 2 grand. So for anybody who's thinking, "I'm gonna rob a bank," it doesn't work anymore. You're not gonna get enough money to do anything. You're gonna go to jail, and then somebody's gonna go on the radio and tell a story about how dumb you are, and that's what's gonna happen.
Okay, that was an awesome story.
Thank you.
Hilarious. I mean, I'm sorry you had to go through it, but it was hilarious for you to share it with us because we're all like, what would be it like to be bank rob, be in the middle of a bank robbery? Now we know.
Yeah, you know.
Um, and so for people wanting to find you, where could they find you?
You can
Like
find me on all the
social media.
social medias, like Brick David Comedy is what I go by on like TikTok or Instagram, or just Brick David on Facebook. Brick, like you build a house out of; David, like you would build a Jewish star out of.
Gotcha. And again, thank you for sharing your story. If you have any more stories you want to share, please hit me up. I'm always up for a good story. And thank you. All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Brick. There we go. So yeah, next time, tune in for another story. at What a Story. This has been David DJ Roy, and
Brick David.
you have a good night. Bye.